o'clock. And joining us in studio this morning from Royal Family Kids here in Roswell, Tabitha, Denny back with us, and Kila Williams as well. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
How are you doing today? How's everybody doing?
Doing good. Enjoying our weather.
Have a good Easter?
Yes.
Good deal. Got to spend some time with family and
eat.
And a lot of eating.
Lots of eating.
So did you guys have ham? We were just talking about this earlier, as ham being kind of the official food. I didn't have ham.
I didn't have ham.
Yeah, see, maybe it's weird. I mean, he was like, everybody says ham. I mean, I've had ham a lot on Easter, but I didn't know if it was like official or unofficial.
No, and I think actually, my son made us hamburgers and brats.
Nice.
It was
cookout
really good.
Easter dinner. Yeah.
But with a grilled pineapple and sauteed. Oh, it's delicious.
I think if Christmas was warmer weather, we'd be doing the same thing for Christmas too.
I think so too.
I think that's the only reason it stops us. It's usually too cold to be out there grilling. That'd stop everybody, but most of us it kind of does. We're not here to talk about food, although I'm sure we'll get back to doing that.
Yes,
but Royal Family Kids here in Roswell. First off, before we talk about Purple Day and all that, probably want to give some folks some background about it. Actually, this is not just local here. Royal Family Kids is it national?
It's international.
International, but about I don't know, half dozen years ago, 8 years ago.
We're going on our eighth year.
Eighth year. Royal Family Kids was brought here to Roswell, and it's a great organization that works with helping abused, neglected kids, and these are kids right here in our own neighborhoods, here in Chavez County and surrounding areas. And these are kids that have rough lives, abused, foster home, multiple. Each kid has a unique story. But Royal Family Kids is all about giving these kids opportunities, chances. Each summer, the Royal Family Kids Camp takes place up in the mountains, and we get kids from all over the Pecos Valley here, really, come to the mountains and they have a week of fun camp, and that's what it is. It's not worrying about anything other than them up in the mountains, fishing, swimming, hiking, having fun, just being out in the woods and doing camp stuff. It's an all-volunteer organization of camp counselors that come for the week and are trained, obviously, because these are kids that helping because. Through the lessons of fishing and swimming and all that, they're learning how people should interact and families should interact, and they learn things about love. They receive love. They and in the hopes of that rubs off over a while, and they are able to give love and do the things that we as humans covet and want as part of our own lives. And at the end of the day, that's all that's about is giving these kids an opportunity to feel something that should be normal to every kid.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Is that pretty much it?
That's pretty much. That was really good. You should be on the radio talking about that.
That was great.
Yeah, and so April is kind of a busy month for Royal Family Kids. Purple Day is
April 27th.
April 27th, which is for the Royal Family Kids the biggest recognition day for the program, and really it's all about raising awareness and funds.
Yes.
So you guys are asking people to support by wearing your purple, donning your purple. There's going to be signs. We'll talk all about that here in a second. But of course supporting Royal Family Kids, whether it's you raising or donating money for Royal Family Kids, which by the way all of it goes back to the programs and everything for the camp, these kids. Or if maybe even if I get it, money's tight. You're like, dude, I just paid for Easter. I'm broke. I get it. But at least put a purple sign in your yard. Maybe wear a purple shirt in that day. Share it on your social media accounts. Get the word out there so as many people know that it happens, and then we can where the problem getting to camp is, hey, we need to get more kids in here, not do we have enough money to pull camp off this
Absolutely.
year.
Exactly.
And that's what we want to have happen. So fill in the gaps a little bit here. Talk about Purple Day and more of the details that I kind of missed.
And that was a good transition in. One of the things with camp is because we are 100% volunteer based, and so all our funds are fundraised, donated. We don't get anything from the state or anyone else, but it's kind of like, did the chicken come first or the egg?
Right.
Because a lot of times that if we don't have the funds, it makes it difficult to take the kids. And if we have the kids, so it's kind of a little bit of both.
You can't have the funds without the kids, and you can't get the kids without the funds.
Correct.
And it is not a fun conversation to have a list of kids' names and then to be like, where is our money at?
Right.
Do we have enough money to take these kids?
Yeah.
It is not a fun conversation.
No.
It's not.
So.
And unfortunately, what happens is, usually what happens when you probably fall into those situations, people that have step up every time, that they just give of themselves. It's like, all right, I'll cover it out of my own pocket. And we love those people, but they can't afford to do that all the
Every
time.
time,
You know what I mean? You know,
Exactly.
and so we want to put this on people's radar. So, you know, you always hear the, you know, more hands make less work, and that's really what we're talking about here. We have, I know we've been having this debate for 100 years, but we got roughly 50,000 people that live in the city of Roswell.
Correct.
Everybody contributed $1. $1.
That's a lot of money.
For your
It
kids, you know, if
is.
you got 4 people in your family, give us $4.
Right.
And if everyone did that, 50 grand would go a long way
It
to make
absolutely
sure
would.
Royal Family Kids would have an excellent camp this
Yeah.
summer.
And one of the things with camp is we don't charge any of our foster families. So there's no fee for them. Any
Only thing
charge-
they got to do is come and enjoy it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what it does is it not only gives the kids a week to be a kid because many of them have so many other things going on in their lives. It also gives our foster parents kind of a chance to rest for that week.
Sure.
And so it's kind of a double thing. It really, really helps. But because we
Allowing
are
the parents to recharge their batteries while the
Yes.
kids are getting, makes sense.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so what we do is we fundraise. It's a cost approximately $500 per child to go to camp. And like you mentioned earlier, they get to do a whole slew of things while they're at camp.
Mm-hmm.
And so because we are volunteer run, you did talk about like training. So we have to vet our counselors and our volunteers.
The worst thing you want to do is have unqualified volunteers working with a bunch of kids that have already been abused and neglected.
Correct.
You don't want to make it worse.
Yes, most of them have all had some form of sexual abuse, physical abuse, and
Yeah.
so we want to make sure that everybody that comes to camp is safe and safe for our kids, safe for our volunteers
Sure.
to do that. And so we do have training
Sure.
that is a mandatory training and background checks.
Well, and it's going to be beneficial for the volunteers because we know you have a big heart. We know
Yes.
you want to come and help. But do you necessarily have the knowledge to break through to these kids? And that's where some of the training comes in. It's not just, it's teaching you how to make connections because these kids come from abused, neglected homes. I talk with enough people over at the Roswell Refuge to know
Right.
when you're dealing with abused and neglected people, they build walls, they build barriers, they build things to protect themselves.
Yes.
And you've got to pick through that. They're not going to just let you in most of the time. You gotta work your way in and work through that armor to get to the core. And so that's where that training is because it can be probably very frustrating for your volunteers. They're just here to want to help them, and you got someone that's resisting, and it's not because it's just because they've been abused and they don't trust nobody.
Right.
And you've got to earn that trust.
And it's
that's how
funny
do
you
it.
say that because so many times that with these kids, they do have this walls built up.
Mm-hmm.
And so during that week, we're not there to give them therapy or doing. We're there that week is to show them love and
Sure.
that they're loved and God loves them and know that they are special.
Sure.
Because many of them have been told they are not. But during that week, it's funny. We'll have kids that come at the first of the week. We've had some that would not come off the bus when we get there. Some of them were just didn't want anything.
Sure.
And at the end of the week, we can't get that particular child on the bus to leave, or they're the ones completely bawling and
Sure.
crying and doing that.
Because it made so many connections and
It's
friends.
so many to where they've let that guard and they realize that I am special and I can be loved
Yeah.
and people love me and I'm not what I've had other people who are supposed to love me
Yeah.
tell me that. And so that's one of the big things of why I can tell you after my first year of going, I said to myself after this, I was like, I will never miss a camp again. And that was
Too
7 years
important
ago.
what's going on here. Yeah.
Because not only do those lives of the children change, our lives change. It's very different. It's like at the end of camp, we're all like, okay, no more camp for a little while. And then we're like, can't wait for
Yes.
camp to get
But then you
here.
miss
and
it after a
and then
while,
you
yeah.
miss it, and because you see
Well,
that
it's
breakthrough.
exhausting to go through the camp.
It is emotionally, it is, and
is.
physically for some.
But when you're done, you're satisfied because at the end of the day, you're making differences.
Yes.
Every child that went through there that now has made a friend or has picked up a hobby
Yes.
or has realized that you know, when
They are lovable.
Yeah, that you're loved and being a part of something's a good thing.
Absolutely.
And when they realize all that, then the camp is just hit a home run. That's
Yes.
exactly what it's there for.
Yes.
Who cares the kid can't fish afterwards?
Right.
It's not about learning to fish. It's about
Right.
the experience of being there. And you know what? We're here hanging out and just living life. And hey, it's nice out here. The weather's nice and smells great. And you know, it's just not worrying about what's going to happen later today.
Correct.
You know, they just, you know, what do they worry about? What are we cooking for dinner? That's the
Right.
biggest worry of the day. You know.
Well, and that's one of the things, is that the kids, they get to have some choices in their life that week. Like if there's a particular activity and they don't want to do it,
Yeah.
we are not going to make them go do it, because these kids, you know, Kila works with CASA, so she, you know, and I volunteer, but she actually works there.
Yeah.
But we see these kids are told what they're going to do and how they're going to do stuff, so they can't, they don't have those choices. And so for a week, for 5 days, they get to make some choices for themselves. And I think for all of us, that's empowering.
Absolutely.
And
And they get to see that other kids that are in similar situations as them. And I think that's empowering for them as well, that they're not alone. And then at the end of camp, they get a photo book with photos of different moments that they've had throughout camp.
Sure.
And we use the word magical moments because that's our goal at camp. We want to create magical moments for
Yeah.
them. And so as the therapist at CASA, some of these kids I get to see, you know, outside of camp.
Sure.
And one of the greatest things I'm always telling the team is the kids all throughout the year are like, do I get to go back to camp? Or, you know, remembering things from camp.
Sure.
And when they rode a horse for the very first time, they've never even seen a horse, and they got to ride a horse, which is so cool.
And that's one of the cool parts of your, because you actually get to see, because like some of your volunteers, they only really get to see them at that week at
Yeah,
camp.
exactly.
So they don't get to see the improvements or the progression except for that week at camp.
Yes.
If they're repeat campers here. For you saw them beforehand and saw what they were going through, the struggles and things. You're seeing them at camp, seeing them negotiating some of that, and then you're seeing the end result where things that they were dealing with as problems prior to camp, they aren't such a big deal on the other
Yes.
side. They're kind of, I'm not saying they're going to come night and day different, but it's all part of that maturing, growing, learning, almost retraining the brains a little bit to
Yep.
say, you can trust
Absolutely.
humanity. There are
Exactly.
humanity is a wonderful thing. I'm sorry your first part of life on it did not show you that. We can show you the other way and what it's
And
really.
the camp goes until they're 12 years old, and then we have a little special something that we do for the kids to kind of transition them out of camp. You know, very special just for that age group
Yeah.
on one of the nights. And so what's always interesting is as I'm going through the process, whether it's in therapy or just another aspect of CASA,
Yeah.
they're already wanting to come and volunteer. They're already asking.
I was
"When can
about
I
to say,
go?"
now
and
that-
we just had our first, Mike, as a matter of fact, 2 years ago, we had our first kiddo that actually had gone through
As a camper? I was
got to
about
come
to
back
say.
and volunteer. And for us, it's one of those bittersweet moments that
Sure.
we have to still have
Yeah,
camp
first you're
because
like,
of the-
man, I'm getting old. And then
Yes.
second, you're like, holy
Exactly.
cow,
Yes.
this is cool. The
It
circle
is
of
to
life
have
is
their-
working.
Yes,
Kids that
and
were,
for them to come back, and Kyla touched on it, I think for the kids to see that it's not just them.
Yeah.
But to have a kid that's coming back as a volunteer to
Sure.
go, I was in your place
You
one
hit a
time.
home
I
run
was
with that
there.
child, yeah.
And, you know, for them to come back. And so for
Yeah.
us, I think that's one of those kind of amazing things.
That's the most best evidence that you as an individual can have that what you're doing is making a
Yes.
difference. And because I was just thinking, yeah, you've been 8 years now. You're going to start hitting that
Yes.
point where some of your counselors and volunteers are going to be campers at some
Yes.
point. And now this last year was the first year you're seeing that, and
year
probably going to
before
be
last we had, and then we had one last year too.
Good
Well,
deal.
because 20 we didn't have any, so 21
That was
we
COVID
did.
year, so
but
yeah.
we it was one of those that's really neat to see
yeah.
some of those come back.
Now, as we mentioned earlier, you know, we've got the kids. We need the bucks. We need
Yes.
donations here. Here on Purple Day, there's lots of ways. Talk about the volunteers, though. I know you guys always could use more counselors to be a part of camp. Like you said, there's training involved, but how does one start that process, and what's the obligation that they're committing themselves to?
So there's so many different roles for volunteers. So a lot of people we realize cannot take off a week and go spend at camp. So there's, you know, we need prayers all the time. We need help with, we have a welcome home dinner. We have registration.
I should
things
say
like
this
that.
is a faith-based Christian
It is faith-based,
organization.
but we're
yes.
not. So it's faith-based, but we're not a it's not a church camp.
Gotcha.
Because we have children from the state, and so there's still.
So
that
there's not like a
rules.
religion class
No,
or
so
nothing.
you're not
but
going up and being baptized. You're not calling to the altar. The main thing is, when I say faith-based, it's that we're telling these kids that we love them and God loves them, and that they are special, they are royal. That whole thing is letting those kids
Sure.
know. Which
You're not
is
indoctrinating
exactly
Christians
no,
or
that's
anything
not
like that.
any of that stuff. It's
Yeah.
just to let them
Sure.
know.
Unfortunately, in this day and age, we got to say that nowadays.
We do.
It's-
It is unfortunate.
We live in a world
absolutely.
now where everyone wants to try to see through your intentions
Yes.
and find ill will there. And at the end of the day, there's nothing ill will about the Royal Family Kids Camp. We've got kids that, left to their own devices, are going to be dead or are
Right.
going to go down past that. And it's not fair to them, because all these kids, they were just handed a bad deck of cards.
Yes.
They got it. They were dealt a bad hand. That we talk about life and life not being fair, and that's absolutely true. And unfortunately, the kids that are part of Royal Family Kids are a direct product of
Yes.
that, and that's why the camp
Absolutely.
exists. Where what you got a really bad hand. You know what? We're going to show you that life doesn't matter what you got a bad head. We can still make have an excellent life, and show you what humanity's really about,
Yes.
and show you what it's like to be a good human.
It's planting those memories. I mean, I work with foster kids in my day job with treatment kids. And so, Kila and I are probably, out of all of us, are pretty lucky where we get to see before and after to get that experience
Yeah.
to do it. So that part of it's really neat.
Sure.
But for our volunteers, they come from all walks of life. Some have had experience in trauma in their past. And that's part of the reason why we vet. We interview all our volunteers, because we want to make sure it's a good fit, not just for our kids, but for
Absolutely.
them, because we deal with adults that have not dealt with their trauma. And the last thing in the world we want to do is to trigger an adult while they're at camp.
Absolutely.
Or to trigger another child
Sure.
to do that. So it's vetted in that way. But
Sure.
for the most part, we've had only maybe a handful over the years to do that because of the reason. And we do, like I said, the background checks, because we also want to make sure that we're not placing these kids and we have with someone who could possibly hurt them.
Absolutely.
And so
Yeah.
there's some pretty strict
stringent,
rules.
yes.
And we do that for the protection of our kids and protection of our volunteers.
And I think most people understand that, and
They
for
do.
that reason are
They do.
very receptive to going
Yes.
through the process. To
Yes.
like you said, it could be a little invasive, a little bit annoying, but that's the part of what it is.
And
Because
you
at the
kinda
end
know
of the
that
day,
going in.
Yeah.
yeah, because at the end of the day, the end game, what we're trying to do is worth that. That's why we
Absolutely.
do that, and that's and I think the other part too is your volunteers come away with so much. Even like you said, you two have you see it day in and day out. So I'm not saying you're jaded, but you know the real deal. You don't. It's not sugar coated
Right.
for you, or it's
Exactly.
not an image on TV for you.
or it's not
something-
somewhere else, not
Yes.
in my
Yeah.
community, or not next
Yes.
door to me. It's,
Yeah.
oh, it's in the other town, or it's not my home. And unfortunately, we see that it happens in
Sure.
places that you would never imagine.
Yeah.
And so it's becoming that, but it's giving those kids, that chance. And so our volunteers, at least 16 and up,
Sure.
our counselors, what we call our counselors. So we have a 1-to-2 ratio. So for every counselor, there's 2 kids.
That's an amazing number.
And so
ratio, by the
we
way.
do that for the reason, because we want those children to have all that attention to them for that week. And so we do that. So our counselors, though, do have to be 18 and up. They have to be adults. But we have other roles that happen to make camp work, because the
takes a
planning
lot of
goes
people.
into it. It literally takes a village.
It does.
And so our planning pretty much, there's probably 3 months out of the year we're not planning camp. And now got in the groove, we're going. But with COVID happening and doing some of the other stuff, we lost some of our volunteers, because one of the things, they were in college and now they have to be grown-ups. And so
Darn it.
they had to get real jobs. And so we're
Life
constantly,
happened.
yes.
Yep.
And so we're constantly having to do that. So we're kind of almost starting over again, per se.
So you kind of need a new batch, a new
Yes.
generation of
Yes.
volunteers to step forward.
Yes.
And even with, there's so many roles at camp, like Tabitha was kind of speaking on, we use the word support staff at camp. And that's maybe you just don't want to be a counselor, that's not your thing, or maybe you're 18 and under, maybe you're one of our 17-year-olds, so you're not quite there yet.
Sure.
But at camp, from the time the kids' eyes open until the time they go to sleep, there is something going on.
Yeah.
There's an activity. We're very much scheduled throughout the day, from one activity to the next, to the next, to the next.
Well, I would imagine too, if maybe you're not working well with groups of people and things, there's probably lots of jobs you can do there at the camp. That's just the running of the like. There's maintenance involved. There's food and waste removal. There's things that have to be done for the health and welfare of the camp that maybe don't require necessarily interaction with the kids all the time, but is absolutely an invaluable service to making sure that camp runs.
Yes.
So if you maybe want to, I'm not good with kids, but I can make sure your trash is not going to be piled up, or the food gets, all the unfun, sexy parts of camp that need to be done. All need those volunteers.
And they're all important.
They are, and I'll plant a seed because I think this is important. But we, when we have the activities at camp, yes, we have the fun things, the horseback riding, zip line, all of those things. But some other stations or areas that we like to have, for instance, one of them is a grandma and grandpa area.
Okay.
Another one is an aunt and an uncle, and they do some sort of fun activity. It's probably different every year. But one of the reasons why we do that is to show these kids kind of what it looks like in a family unit. What does an appropriate grandma and grandpa look like? And so they get to receive love from those people, our grandma and grandpa, or our aunt and uncle.
Sure.
And that is always, it's kind of interesting because, yes, they love the zip line, and yes, they love these fun things, but they really, really love to go visit aunt and uncle. Or, grandma and grandpa sitting on the porch that give out cookies.
Sure.
We get quilts donated to us. What's that group called so we could shout them out?
It's from the church, and if you hadn't asked me, I would have told you. It's the church on Main Street over there, that the ladies over there, they do quilts all years and give us, so the kids get quilts. It's over by Pioneer, like across the street. Oh my goodness.
Is it, I'm looking up, now I'm racking my brain thinking over there. Is it, the Lutheran church there?
Yes.
Okay. Emmanuel Lutheran, is that one?
No, not
it's not Emmanuel.
Nope.
It's the other one. Dang it, with the pumpkins.
Yes, that's always in the front.
Yes.
I can't, just totally, yes.
I think y'all's thing just went over to my
Someone
head.
write it on Facebook.
Yeah.
But yes, so and I'm glad that's one of the things, and I have a couple shout outs. So that is one of them. Like, so the kids get their own quilts, or one year some of them got animals.
Yeah.
And so they get that when they go see grandma and grandpa. And so with grandma and grandpa, like that's the one thing we haven't had in a little while. We have the aunt and uncle, which they talk about family, and that is one of the things that we want to do at camp, so they can see what an appropriate. And I'm appropriate. I don't want to say normal because normal is very different, but an appropriate, so they can have that. And
what society looks at as what we say is a loving family.
Yeah,
what
loving
we
family,
see, and this is what a lot of kids your age are experiencing. This is what it's like.
And those quilts, it's something they get to go home with, kind of like their photo books. It's a keepsake. They're going to remember it forever. They're always going to remember grandma and grandpa. And that's very special. So it's so much more than just a zip line or, these moments where they get to have fun and be kids.
Sure.
Yes, that is so important. But then there's these other aspects too that make this camp very unique.
Sure. Well, it's really teaching them who the mentors are in their life and things, because they've gone into a life where most
healthy.
Well, where in a healthy lifestyle you figured out who your mentors are, because they kind of come to the surface real quickly.
Yes.
In a abusive situation, that's not always true. So things that we take for granted, people that grew up in these loving, surrounded, nurturing, healthy relationships, it's sometimes hard for us to understand that if you never experienced that, that's not common sense or commonplace.
Well, because some kids, maybe, for example, their grandpa's not a safe adult.
Yeah.
Maybe that's, a trigger for them or a bad memory. And so at camp, they get to relearn that there are safe older adult men that can be in the role of grandpa that can love them and show them appropriate love and connection, and that's special.
And I think that's just good for generational, you look in the world we live in today, and it seems very divisive about everything, including generations. You got millennials yelling at Gen Xers and Gen Xers yelling at baby boomers and vice versa and all that. Yep. Maybe some of this, kind of blurs those lines a little bit, and understand that, the people that are older than you aren't all just talking down to you. And that's another, I think.
Yes.
So these same people probably look at grandmother, grandpa, and aunt and uncle and say, yeah, they're the ones who tell me I'm doing it wrong all the time. You know what I mean? And that's, so you're showing, no. There's give and take on that. They show you the love and then try to steer you on the path. And when you come off, they try to nudge you back on it. That's all they're doing, you know. And
so we need a grandma and grandpa now.
But I think if you love camping and love all this stuff, like when the counselor stuff, do y'all stay in cabins or tents?
They do. So our counselors and some of our support staff, they're actually, the counselors are with the kids 24/7.
Okay.
And so they get a little break in the evening so they can go like do their showers and check their phones, because that's one of the things that you don't have there.
Even no matter how much you want it.
Nope. They get put
There's no
up.
cell service.
No, it gets put up because we want your attention on those kids, not on anything else. And so they have all that, but they're with those kids so they can learn and be with those kids. And those kids start to feel like they really are here for me.
Sure.
And to be able to...
It's to make sure there's no blurred lines there. They understand that this person is your mentor, your leader for the next week here.
Yes.
If you have questions, concerns, desires, this is the person that's going to help you with.
Yes.
Yeah, and the kids see, we had a lawyer, he came to camp one year, and a kid had kind of asked him, aren't you busy? You're a lawyer. Oh my goodness. And the counselor was able to say, hey, but this week is your week. So I'm putting I'm busy in my life aside because you're important enough.
Yeah.
And I think that's special too.
Sure.
To show these kids, I'm here for you this week. And you deserve it.
And I hope that's a lesson those kids take with them, because when they get older and their lives get crazy busy, they remember that moment. It's like, you know what? Life's never too busy to help others.
Yeah.
It's planting that seed. And that's what we do. Kila mentioned about the photo book. Mm-hmm. One of the kids that come early on, like the first year, one of the other gentlemen on our leadership team had gone over because they had gotten adopted, and they came over, and that picture book from the first year, and this is like almost 4 years later, was still by their bed.
Ah, cool.
And as a young man. And so it's one of those that they would remember. And so that's what we want for them to have those memories of doing. So we have a videographer and a photographer that's there the whole week that videos everything. And so each morning from the next day, the kids get to see themselves on the video.
They're the stars of the day before.
They're stars.
Yeah,
our videographer's amazing. Yes. Her name's Juliana. I'm sure nobody knows who she is. But she gives the kids...
It's like, I know a Juliana.
Yeah,
Probably the same Juliana. Just
she gives the kids one of the little...
the GoPros?
The GoPros. And they get to
go down the
water slide, or they get to go
show
whatever.
Your adventure, what
and
you
they're
want to
doing
do
it
with
from their perspective.
That's
and
cool.
so it's really neat. And so then the kids get super excited to get up there and see themselves in the morning when they're watching it on video. So there's so many roles and so many things that these kids get to do while we're there. And again, there's no charge to our families. But we want to make sure that while we're there, we're giving them. And there's so many people that donate their time. Like, we're all volunteers. We all volunteer board. We all do that part of it. And so, but without our community stepping in and doing it, because sometimes, you go to a potluck and some people say, let me just give you the money and you can make it, versus I'm not going to make it. It's the same thing with camp. Like, if you can't go for a week, donate.
Yeah.
Every little bit helps. It's not like a specific, because you mentioned earlier, if everybody gave $1 out of everybody in town, we would be good every year.
Absolutely. That's really all it takes. It's not. It's less more hands make less work. And if you got $5, please donate it. If you want to volunteer, every little bit helps make this camp happen.
Yep. And at Purple Day, we will do a toy drive. I'll let Tabitha talk about the details of that, but maybe people are asking, a toy drive, why do they need toys? And so at camp, one of the days we do a very special event, and we actually hold a birthday party for each one of these kids.
Cool.
A lot of times it's because maybe they've never had a birthday party before.
Sure.
They've never been celebrated.
They
They've
weren't
never
the center
been...
of attention for anything. Yeah.
And so there's a sweet lady, Tabitha can give her a shout out, but she'll make a cake with the kids' names on it, so they actually get their own individual.
Personalized.
And it's not even a little cake; it's a pretty nice cake with their name on it.
Nice
they're
cake.
beautiful.
That's why they're going to be sick when they eat it all by themselves.
Yes.
What time
Well,
is
most
that
of them
big?
don't tend to eat it, Mike.
It's a
You'll
cake.
see it's face all
They
over
wear more
everywhere.
than they eat.
Oh, yes.
But we decorate. Then we have a fun event where maybe it's every year's a little bit different, but a carnival. I mean, we go huge.
Cool.
And so not only do they get gifts, but their counselors get to go and kind of pick out from the toys that are donated from the community. They get, as they're learning the kids throughout the week, maybe a kid's mentioned, oh my gosh, I love Barbies, or oh, I love, I've never had a football, but I wish I had one. Then the counselor at night will get to go and kind of pick in a room where we have all these toys set up, and then they wrap their gifts and we deliver it to them on their birthday at their
cool.
party and celebrate them. And it is so awesome to see, because then the rest of the camp that evening is them playing with their toys. They have their cake. It's decorated for their party. There's
Just family
jumping
night in the
dollies.
den kind of thing.
It is a riot, and it is so fun. And just watching them, their smiles
kids.
is like,
Kids be kids.
And
Yeah.
to be blessed with these gifts. And so, of course, we're always needing money as well. But if you have toys, please come on Purple Day. Our toy drive will be at McDonald's.
Okay. The down to the UFO one?
The UFO
Okay.
one, yes.
From
2 to 6.
Excellent. This is April 27th. That's
Yes.
Purple Day. We'd love to paint the town purple.
Yes.
Do you guys have signs and things
So
where
we
people
have
can pick up?
signs. So it's $500 if you want to do a sign.
Okay. And again, all that money goes
All
back
the money
to the
goes
camp.
back to camp. Everything goes straight into camp. We also have some Purple Day shirts.
Okay.
So we'll be selling them for $20
Okay.
for a
Do
donation.
you guys still have the website they can go
we
to?
still have the website. Yep.
Okay.
It's purpleday.squarespace.com.
Okay.
Or you can email rfk327@gmail.com. Or call me.
Or if you look Purple Day Roswell on Facebook,
Yes, we
shoot
have-
any questions
Yes.
to the messenger there, and these ladies will get back to you.
Yes. Debbie Lucas is the one who does our cakes.
Okay.
And she's been doing them for many years. And it's neat because those cakes, they have the kids' names on them.
That's so personal.
So
That's
she
awesome.
really personalizes the cakes. So they're not small cakes. They're, but the kids have their names on it. So it's one of those neat things because the kids have never had birthdays.
Yeah.
And so they remember those type things.
Yeah.
So we do.
It's done just for them.
It is. And
it's-
it's a whole day. And we usually will have Camille from Runyon Farms comes up and does the zoo. And like for all of us, I think we absolutely love that part. But there's so many different things for the kids.
Yeah.
But with Purple Day, with the toys and stuff, so they're unwrapped gifts. And we want them from like ages 6, 7 to 12.
Okay.
Typically, it's one year somebody got remote control cars. Oh my gosh, it's been the biggest hit ever since, even for the girls. The girls, so
Everybody loves driving cars, and
most of the girls don't tend. It's really funny how you would think they would like the Barbies and the dolls, and typically they don't. Most of all the kids want like craft type stuff, like making jewelry or games or like sports, like footballs.
I
and
know
basketballs.
when I was a boy, Barbie had a Corvette and a cool house, and I was like, I don't really want the Barbie, but I want that Corvette.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Yes. And they love the remote control car thing. So those type things. And if you're not sure you want to go buy, you can always just give us money when we're out there and we'll go pick up stuff. Because we do try to learn something about the kids. So we kind of give something that's
we want them to be so excited
to have it versus just giving them a random.
Well, it's
toy.
something for their very own, and they treat it as such.
And some of them
it's
have
like
never
their
had
prized
anything of their own, or they move from home to home and they don't get to take that stuff with them. So, and that's one of the things with the pictures and some of the other stuff we want them to have.
Absolutely.
on there.
I just saw the time.
Yes. And
I
so,
tend to do that. But we want to get people involved.
Yes.
Please sign up. Please sign up to donate money
Yes.
or buy a sign or buy a T-shirt or donate a toy here.
So for Purple Day, I want to throw out before we get off is Domino's has been a great supporter for us, as has Kremlin Auto Group. But
Awesome.
for Wednesday, for the 27th, if you order from Domino's,
Okay.
you need to tell them that you're ordering and that you are doing it for Royal Family Kids.
Okay.
Either of the locations.
Okay.
All day on Wednesday, let them know, and Domino's is going to give us a percentage of their sales that day.
Oh, nice. So
But
maybe.
it is important to make sure that you tell them it's for us.
Okay. So
that they know.
probably maybe put down your app that day and call direct or
Absolutely.
come in direct
Yes.
to either
or
location.
go in and order and do that for either one of the locations.
Matter of fact, if you do the carry out right now, I think through Domino's, they give you $3 back too, and you can donate that back to the
Yes.
family
There you
kids.
go.
Hey,
Oh,
see, I like
So
that.
go pick it up yourself. They give you
Yes.
$3 and you can donate it to the family
Yes.
kids.
Great idea.
So
But that'll be on Wednesday, the 27th.
on the
that day of.
27th. And if anybody wants to buy a shirt, we have shirts, our Purple Day shirts. Get the signs up. You can do that as well.
Yeah, that's
Throw out one quick thing for our office. So we have an office challenge.
okay.
So if your business donates $500 from the office itself, and then you fundraise within your office $500 from your employees, a couple days before Purple Day, once you've got that to us beforehand, we'll come bring you some shirts.
Nice.
We'll do that
swag.
so
We'll
that
purple
you
you
some
up.
swag
Yes.
so you can purple.
Yeah.
You want to paint the town purple
Absolutely.
on Wednesday.
And Facebook.
We want to see a sea of purple here on
Yes,
April
and
27th
Facebook.
in Roswell. It's all for Royal Family Kids.
Yes.
Please go to the website. Again, give out the web address.
So the web address is purpleday.squarespace.com.
Okay.
You can email, which is rfk327@gmail.com, or you can call me, Tabitha, at
Okay.
919-255-0136, and we will
Get you
get
going.
you all set up. Or
And like-
check out Facebook.
Yeah, and then like I said, or the Royal.
Yes.
If
Roy-
you do Royal Family Kids Roswell, I
Yes,
believe
it
is what you type in. And
Yes.
If you do any kind of Royal Family Kids Roswell, any combo of
Yes.
that,
Yes.
you're going to see it pretty easily.
Absolutely.
And then you can learn more about exactly what we were just talking about here. Learn obviously more about Purple Day, the camp, but even just seeing some of the stories, some of the
Yes.
cool stuff that comes out of Royal
Yes.
Family. Some of those success stories you can read about
Yes.
those too.
Yes, and our team will be out there, of course, at McDonald's on that day for Purple Day. So
Yeah.
if people have questions, they can come there. We'll be there.
Yeah.
And then, of course, online is our application to apply to be a volunteer.
There you
So
go.
Yes.
please come to camp, volunteer, and fill out that application.
When you come to
online.
McDonald's that day, dress up in your favorite Grimace shirt because he was purple, and get a chocolate shake.
Oh,
That was kind of
see?
McDonald's with purple
Yes,
Grimace.
I forgot about Grimace.
And he was the
Yes,
shake
that was
guy.
a long time
So
ago.
get a chocolate shake at McDonald's.
go.
In your favorite Grimace shirt for Purple Day.
There you go.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank
Appreciate
you so
it.
much.
We'll see you next time.
All right,
okay?
bye.
Thank you.
It is